Everyone in the small town of Ridgewood remembered the day Amelia Ross made the most unexpected announcement of her life. "I'm getting married," she said with a glowing smile. "To whom?" her cousin Clara asked. Amelia hesitated only a heartbeat. "To Rowan Hale." The room went silent. Then came the laughter. "Rowan? The mountain man? The one who lives in that wooden cabin? He doesn't even own a truck. You're too pretty, too smart, too everything for him." But Amelia simply smiled. She had met Rowan 6 months earlier while hiking with her students. She'd taken the wrong turn, slipped on a wet stone, and twisted her ankle. Her phone had no signal, the sky was darkening, and she had been preparing herself for a miserable night alone, until he appeared from behind a cluster of pine trees. Rowan Hale, broad-shouldered, quiet-eyed, dressed in rough flannel and boots that looked older than the town itself. He carried her down the trail as if she weighed nothing, fixed her ankle with surprising skill, and built a fire that kept wolves and cold away. His voice was deep and slow, his manner gentle. He spoke little, but listened deeply, and something about him had stayed with her long after the pain faded. So he shyly asked her to visit his cabin. "If you ever want to see the mountains the way they're meant to be seen," she went. One visit became two. Two became every weekend. And without warning, she fell in love with the man the town insisted was too simple. They were married on a quiet morning, with only a handful of witnesses and a mountain breeze as their music. Life with Rowan was far from glamorous. The cabin was old, built by his ancestors, its roof patched with tin sheets. They had no television, only an old radio. Rowan chopped wood at dawn, hunted for food, and worked part-time at a sawmill. Yet Amelia never felt happier. He treated her with a respect deeper than anything she had known, not with words, but with actions. Every night he warmed her hands by the fire. Every morning he left a wildflower on her table. And whenever she doubted her choices, he looked at her with those quiet eyes that said, "You are my world." Still, the town never let her forget. "You gave up your career for him? Amelia, you could have married someone with a future. He can't provide for you. You'll regret this." But she didn't regret it, not for a moment. It was the world that didn't know Rowan's truth. Winter arrived harder than usual. Snowstorms cut off the mountain roads. Amelia began feeling uneasy. Rowan had been leaving early in the mornings and returning late at night, covered in frost and exhaustion. "Rowan," she said one evening, "are you all right? You're working too hard." He hesitated, then brushed a hand along her cheek. "There are things I need to take care of, but I promise you're safe." His answer only deepened her worry. Then one night, close to midnight, someone knocked on their cabin door. Rowan stiffened instantly. "Stay behind me," he whispered. But when he opened the door, Amelia froze, not out of fear but shock. Two men in dark coats stepped inside. They weren't strangers. She recognized them from the town's bank, men who rarely looked at anyone who earned less than 6 figures. "Mr. Hale," the taller one said with a deep bow, "we've been searching for you for months. Your grandfather's estate must be addressed immediately." Amelia blinked. "Estate?" Both men looked at her with polite surprise, as if expecting her to already know. Rowan sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and finally spoke. "It's time," he said quietly. "Amelia, I need to tell you something." They sat by the fire. Snow tapped against the window. Rowan took her hands gently in his. "My family, the Hales, we weren't always mountain people. My grandfather, Elias Hale, built half the industries in this region. He was one of the wealthiest men in the state. But before my father died, he made me promise something, to stay away from the world that destroyed our family." Amelia stared, speechless. "When my father refused to take over the empire, my grandfather disowned him. They never reconciled. So after my father passed, I kept living here. Quiet, simple, away from everything they fought over." He swallowed, his voice tightening. "But grandfather died last year, and in his final letter, he named me his sole successor. A hidden fortune, company shares, properties, all of it. I've been meeting with lawyers secretly. They finally tracked me here." The room was silent except for the crackling fire. "You're a billionaire's heir?" Amelia whispered. Rowan shook his head firmly. I'm still the man you married. Money doesn't change who I am. One of the bankers cleared his throat. Sir, the estate is extensive. You'll need to come into town to sign the legal documents. The public will soon know. But Rowan looked only at Amelia. I didn't tell you because I didn't want this fortune to touch our life unless necessary. I didn't want you to marry a name or a bank account. I wanted you to choose me, the man who chops wood and fixes roofs. Amelia felt tears sting her eyes. She cupped his face. I did choose you, she whispered, and I'd choose you again. The next week, the entire town buzzed like shaken bees. Rowan Hale is the heir to a hidden empire? Amelia married into wealth without knowing? All those jokes we made, people rushed to congratulate her, to apologize, to beg for her forgiveness. Faces that once smirked, now admired. Voices that once mocked, now praised. But Amelia didn't seek revenge or pride. She simply stood beside Rowan as he signed the estate papers, letting the world see what she had always known. He was never just a mountain man. He was a man of honor, strength, loyalty, and now, unexpectedly, a man of immense fortune. And yet, when they returned to the cabin that night, Rowan wrapped his arms around her and whispered, "Let's keep living simply, just you, me, and the mountains." Amelia smiled. Fortune or none, she already had everything.